Welcome back to the Money Hill, where we'll be discussing the new look OpTic, some faulty respawn play from Faze, some standings that might surprise you, and a look ahead at the final week of Major II qualifiers. I am, of course, your host, Scoot, back with BigMoneyBlivs, who actually did have a big money week last week, so I'm just going to throw it over to him to walk you through the tweet that kind of sealed in the luck from the Money Hill last week.
Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you just play off of what other people are saying and you absolutely nail it. Robert in our Discord, lean toss-up sports, does a great job doing graphics, talking about, what the models are saying. He had a tweet that was like his predictions for the first day on Friday. And I went through and made my own predictions, some against the model, some with the model. I said, you're going to get a Subliners to win -1.5. Nailed perfectly. I said OpTic and CDL Surge. I didn't want to pick a winner. We last week were on this, that OpTic was going to be getting better. We, of course, did the emergency podcast when Scump retired. Still bullish.
More bullish.
I don't know about more bullish.
More bullish. This is the best team in the league right now.
So I didn't want to pick a winner, but I said over 4.5. Nailed that. And good job OpTic coming in and winning S&D. And last but not least, I called it Ultra 3-0 on the Thieves. And I think that was a bold call for some, not for me. Again, some people like to claim that, Ultra's obviously my home team, the team that I root for. But this Thieves team's fucking shit. And so this was a no-brainer to me. And what do you know? 3 for 3 made a lot of money this day. Good day.
I mean, Ultra 3-0ing Thieves with a sub is not like the most impressive or crazy call in the world. However, I don't think you knew they had a sub when you called it. So
it is true. I did not know that Kenny was sick, but to me it didn't matter. Capital comes in, but he played well. And now people on the streets are asking, like, should they make this should they make this sub permanent?
You renamed yourself people on the streets, eh? That's really what you're going by these days. No, I think, listen, the big topic and the one we kicked it off with, and the one I do want to dive into, is OpTic and how good they look following Scump's retirement.
Agreed.
And I think, part of that is there's a lot of weight on their shoulders to perform well because he did retire. However, at the same time, I think the pacing just across the board looks like incredible. They're flying at teams.
Did Scump call out Dashy in his little retirement video? I don't know. Maybe he did. Sometimes some people like Nikki have to go down so that way we can rise.
Yeah, maybe, but no, he did call him out. Dashy, a little confused on the Hardpoint spawns first series. He actually went on Scump's stream right after and talked about that. But they come out, they Neslo Surge, so they go 2-3-5 map count. End up pulling off that series in Search and Destroy. And Scump did say this initially. He said, "I expect S&D to be a lot better without me." However, across that second series, the Hardpoint looked way better. They took it to Ultra. 1-2-4 in that series. I mean, they smoked Ultra, and that is a huge sign if you're an OpTic fan.
Which we had.
Yeah, I had. It definitely had.
We don't like to give ourselves too much credit. We get a lot of stuff wrong. This week we got a lot of stuff right. We were bullish on OpTic, and against my better judgment of being a Ultra fan, I said on this podcast, I thought that OpTic was going to beat Ultra this week.
I mean, it's a good shout, and I think it's a risky take there, but at the same time, understanding the chemistry that they have between Illey, Shotzzy, and Hook, and then you add in Dashy, who is absolutely cracked, and now playing at a more comfortable pace, I think, across the board with the team, then you just have an absolute problem in the OpTic Texas roster, which they look so final.
Hopefully they're not peaking too early.
No, I hope that's not the case. I will say Major 2 last year, they did also go 5-0. No, they won Major 1. They went 5-0 in Stage 2 qualifiers. That was followed up by Illey getting hurt, and then it all kind of spiraled out of control from there, which is a little bit of a problem for them. But their counterpart, their rival forever, Atlanta Faze, struggling a little bit this weekend. They come out, they lose 0-3 to Rokkr.
Now that would have been a call. That would have been a call.
That would have been a call and a half in terms of odds. Yeah, sure. But they followed up with a win against Subliners. I think
very impressive win.
Listen, I don't know about very impressive. They beat them in Search, and then they beat them in Control, and the series is a little chalked and iffy here and there. I'm proud of them for getting the win and rebounding against a very good team. However, extremely concerned about their hardpoint play. And from what I've heard, their scrims have been going really well.
Scrim God?
Now you face this demon of how do you translate that into a match? Like, how do you get the pacing going and everything in line for match play? Because right now they're getting cooked in Hardpoint.
Cooked is an understatement. They got
Well, okay. In the Røkkr series, not cooked. Let's be clear. Like, they lost by 9. Actually,
Subliners,
like
100 piece.
Subliners
100 piece followed. But
they're ahead of the game. I'll say this too. Subliners ahead of the game in Hardpoint. Like the best Hardpoint team in the game right now, for sure. Yes.
And then both S&Ds were 6-4, and then the control is 3-2. But to me, again, like, guess what? That's why there's 3 different game modes. You still have to, Subliners. Subliners are good. Subliners are good. For them to come back, for Faze to come back, I mean, I'm a bit perplexed by this Minnesota Rokkr team, and this is something I need your help on. Like, this team is losing to LAG and then beating Faze 3-0. I like, what's going on? Again, maybe this is the part of the Ultra team that we of course, because I'm on the team, traded during the off season, losing Bance and Cammy, but like, they're so fucking hit and miss. Like, some days they're absolutely frying, and then
I think you more or less know what you're going to get from Bance. Cammy is a little bit hit and miss. He did have a really good series against Faze, and that was, I think, a huge step up for him. But the problem is, the other thing here is that LAG might be the second best hardpoint team in the game right now. Like, the new look LAG, and that's what I love it. That's what I was shouting out in the intro. Some standings that might surprise you here, because they chalk their entire roster. They keep RCDs, and now they're 2-1 currently. And they could end up, 4-1 going into Major 2 with a place in the winners bracket. They could probably seal that with another victory. But, I mean, their team looks great in Hardpoint. But they only had one match this week. There's not a ton to talk about. It was Rokkr.
And they won,
it was kind of the miss Rokkr.
Now, to your point,
they did win.
Maybe Rokkr was coming off a high from 3-0ing Faze. They're not as focused. But they still got business done, and God, I love to see it.
I mean, this was during the outage, too. So, like, who knows if it actually happened.
I do love seeing in 10th, 11th, and 12th place, though, Thieves Surge. It just delights.
Well, that's what else I was going to say. Is that not only do you have a couple of teams at the top that you're like, holy hell, how'd this happen? With, I think, LAG being the big one there, but also, Rokkr sitting in 7th is interesting, and Mutineers not being near the bottom of the table as well. But you do have Thieves and Surge both at the bottom of the table. And Thieves, lost their first match. They have to play with a sub twice. It's like iffy, to say the least. Surge, though, didn't sell pred. And is it biting them in the ass at this point? That's the real question you got to ask yourself.
It's not even a question. Like, here's a guy who's fucking fantastic, and now he's just mentally checked out. Again, like,
I don't think he's checked out. Let's relax.
You can tell the disdain. To be fair, right, if I was to be not as hyperbolic, they lose 3-2 to OpTic. Great. Honestly, like, 'cause of how good OpTic is right now, great kind of moral victory to a degree. And the week before, they lost to Faze and they lost to Vegas. And it was the first game was against Vegas when, they had just had the transfer pred discussion and they were probably mentally not there.
Yeah, but they're not closing series.
But they're playing
like
the
at
best.
All. They're getting them at 5 and they're not finishing it.
I'm not concerned yet.
I'm slightly concerned, but the only reason I'll say I'm not is because they are historically significantly worse online than they are on LAN. Like, the whole team shows up on LAN.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, the next game they play isn't any easier against the Subliners.
Yeah, I think they lose that.
The only game they really have a chance is Minnesota. And we were just talking, like, if Minnesota, like, shows up, because guess what? Minnesota doesn't have a game other than Seattle. So all of their focus...
But, I mean, 1-4 going into qualifiers, you're in loser bracket anyway.
What if you're 0-5?
You're in lower bracket. Yeah, well, you're still in lower bracket, right? But, like...
I'm just saying, that's
the problem. You go into the major, you only have one... Like, you can't slip up. You can only slip up once. Actually, no, you can't. You can't slip up at all. Yeah. So then you're going home. And then you got to really take a big look in the mirror. You're like, well, now our earnings are capped at 2 major wins and champs. If we win out from here, what could we have sold pred for? And you've burned the bridge to Texas, like to OpTic Texas too, with the way you're doing business.
If OpTic wants them, they'll get them. But
no, I mean, what happened is they raised the price like several times after OpTic had met it.
That's so.
And so Hex was like pretty upset about that. They're saying that didn't happen. They said they never met the price or whatever, but I just don't think that's true. Like, OpTic was willing to go out and buy him, and I think they have the capital, clearly. But yeah, I mean, it's a troubling situation to be in. I think Thieves are also in a troubling situation, but, you know, substitute woes a little bit, I would say.
How long do you think Kenny's out for? Do you think this is like he's sick, or is he sick?
No. He's like feeling better. He'll come back. Thieves, this is the other thing. Not only did Texas go 5-0 at Major 2 qualifiers last year, Thieves went 0-5.
So they're right where they want to be?
They're literally exactly where they were last year. So, I mean, they got to win this time, which is kind of a problem for that narrative. But, like, they're not in a good situation. They weren't last year, and they stuck with that roster, and it really paid off for them.
So you're saying don't overreact.
It's just a little bit of translation. No, I don't think so. Not yet. If there's anybody that'll trust their team, I think it's definitely...
If there is anyone who will overreact, it is me.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. Anybody that's watched more than one episode of this knows that you will overreact at every given chance. Maybe Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless of esports?
Of Call of Duty. Yeah, well, no, not really. I mean, you're not going and throwing your Dak Prescott jersey in the trash or whatever after that game.
I'm not at the games getting in fights with the athletes. Hey,
that's Shannon, but they made up afterwards.
Did you see?
They did.
Did you see
There's
his
a picture of it.
sweater?
No, I didn't see a sweater, but I saw LeBron. He was defending LeBron,
Also
which, I mean...
laughable.
You defend the
Not
GOAT,
the GOAT.
you know? It's a discussion for a different day in a different sport, so we don't really need to be concerned with that. Any other teams that caught your eye this weekend? I think pretty brutal weekend for Las Vegas Legion. One of the things that sticks out to me is...
Yeah. It hurts just because I care.
It hurts because they're so good at S&D. Like, and you have 4 guys that are playing in different locations. None of them are together. And their organization is not putting down the money to find them a facility to practice together. And I think it really would help their Hardpoint. Like, they have a lot of experienced players, and this just, like, feels pretty chalked in Respawn's. But their S&D is so good because you don't need to have, like, necessarily connection to win S&D, maybe gunfight here and there. But you can outstrat teams, and they're doing that well. So it's just depressing to see, to be honest.
I'm never going to give Clayster too many props. But to your point, like, if you're going to be in a freaking Call of Duty league, like, at least act like a professional team and treat your players like they're professionals. To see that not happening is truly disappointing.
I guess the final thing we should touch on here and just shout out an individual. But, I mean, speaking of Legion and their loss, obviously to London Royal Ravens, a pretty ugly one. But did they really lose to the London Royal Ravens, or did they lose to Skrapz dropping a 1.78? Welcome back to the CDL after a rough couple series.
1.76.
Like,
but not to diminish.
I thought it was an 8. It's 6. All right, you got me.
However,
finally,
absolutely amazing. The only player who Nasty played well. Paulex played well. Asim.
Well, it's hard not to play well.
Asim still went negative, so
he's been having good series for them, though. He's been the kind of shining light. You're like, if you're gonna sell one player and move on, then it's probably Asim. But I mean, Skrapz popped off. Like, that's a good sign for them. I'll say that much. But they're still in a little bit of shambles.
Yeah, I still don't have high hopes for the Raven. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the roster stands out that much to me where I'm like, this is crazy. Plus, then you add in the fact that Paulex is not that great on LAN historically, and I think you have a lot of problems. Now, Skrapz does have LAN experience, so he'll probably be better, but Paulex, I think you got to get over those woes, and I don't think just subbing him out for a couple of matches will do that. And then Zero had the LAN experience. Now he's gone.
If you are Florida Mutineers, how do you get rid of Havoc and bring in somebody better?
I don't think Havoc's that bad. I think his positioning is questionable at times, but I mean, he makes some big plays for them. It's just a weird roster, man. Like, I don't know if they gel that well. They're good at S&D. They don't gel super well. It's just I've never been really bullish on this team.
We know. We had him in last place. Yeah.
Brack's been pretty good.
He's been the best player
right for them.
He's been the best player
for them. Yeah, I mean, Major Maniac and S&D's been pretty good. I think the final thing I do want to say, actually, I lied a little bit, but Boston Breach, fraudulent.
Really?
This is all an online. It's all an online scheme. Fall apart at the major. Get ready for it.
I completely agree, but
it's coming.
For online, they're good.
No, they're gonna make playoffs just on online qualifier points. Swear to God.
Yeah, they are a team that studied the test and they know that the test is 80% online, and so as long as you do really well online, you'll make the final. Who cares? Perfect.
Well, 80%, I mean, points-wise, maybe not, but, like, it is a significant chunk of it, and if you end up in winners, you have a couple of chances to, like, not bomb out of the fucking
win
major,
one.
But
I do think this Boston team, they obviously are very talented when it comes to online. I'm still going to be bullish on Owakening and Methodz in person. I like both of them. You know, I've always liked Owakening, you know. And then you have Vivid there for S&D. So something's going to click. I can't.
I think they'll have one good major. I don't think, like, I'm not chalking their LAN the entire year, but, like, up to this point, you have to consider it a little bit and be like, okay.
Florida and the Thieves this weekend.
I think they beat the Thieves for sure. This is something I had, but Boston 2-0 parlay for the weekend. But,
a -1.5 parlay.
No, I thought I should bring this up too because I thought you'd find it interesting and funny. But I don't know if you knew that Illey, like, wasn't at the Texas facility this weekend. You know, like, where he dropped the bomb on Outtro from, right?
Where?
In their facility, because he's Canadian. He was on the Bell Fiber.
Why was he in Canada? Why was he at their facility?
That's right. Well, they let him play there for the first series, and then they let him play there for the second series. So he was, like, in the same facility as them, and he just went 1.09 on them, which is just hilarious. But they also say the Canadian internet is crazy, and apparently that is true. But Illey looking better, so I just want to point that out as an Ultra fan. You're probably mad.
Is OpTic going to move to Canada now?
No, I mean, maybe for the internet.
If they want the best,
you get that gig lined up in your
if they want the
PC,
best internet,
like,
they should move to Tallinn, Estonia. Estonia's got the best, like, technical infrastructure.
Okay, I mean, that's not going to work for server play to North America. No, it's because you're still going to have really high ping. You gotta learn how that works, brother. No, you pointed it out. Start the week. Let's talk some Life Glove lock here, even though we don't have odds, but I think it's worth shouting out some picks that you're bullish on. For me, a love of mine is the Boston 2-0 parlay for the weekend. I love it.
With the sports bookmakers to please get up their odds. Like,
it's not gonna happen.
You can have 24 hours. We're now into 48 hours. Get us some goddamn odds.
I mean, they're all using the same data provider, I'm pretty sure, because they all go up at the same time.
Yeah. Well, what they do is once one person puts it up, that they all mimic each other. This weekend, I absolutely love Boston 2-0. And I really like parlaying a -1.5 for both of those. I think you'll probably get 3.0 or better odds with that. Yeah,
you'll get better than that.
So that is a fantastic match. If you bet on this match, you have problems and need to go see somebody. No one should be betting on Florida versus London at all.
Why?
Because that will be even money, and both teams are terrible.
I mean, that's a Florida map 5 victory right there, if I've ever seen one.
You are crazy if you...
Just give me the over 4.5. Florida money line.
I do like Subliners 3-0.
Florida map 2, Florida map 3, and Florida map 5. Okay, I'm done.
You could do that. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Subliners -2.5 versus the Legion. That's going to be a clean sweep.
Search and destroy, dude.
No.
Counting it out, a little too much.
Counting it out.
It's listen, the Legion are good for one here and there. Be careful.
You think they'll get their one against OpTic?
Probably.
How many maps do the Legion win this weekend? They're going up against the Subliners.
Well, I've got Texas. I've got Texas -1.5 versus Legion as a lock. I think that's
stone cold lock,
perennial lock. I think they smoke them in every respawn. And honestly, Texas's S&D looks better, so it's possible that they still beat them there. So it could be a 3-0. They could also lose control, like especially Albagra. There's Albagra. It's a little bit of a mixy map too, and like they're already in winners bracket. Yeah. It's a little weird. So they could. I'm giving them a little leeway with the -1.5.
You know what? This is gonna sound crazy. If this was any other year, this would sound crazy. I feel like Gorillas go 1-1. I think they either beat Faze or they beat Outtro. I think this Gorillas team's like sneaky okay.
I think they might go 2-0.
They might go 2-0.
No, I'll tell you what I love with the Gorillas, though.
Gorillas.
LAG map 1 against Atlanta Faze. I think that's
free money.
Yeah,
I do love that.
I love it.
I think
I don't have the odds for that yet, but I think they're going to be great considering that Faze has too much name value, and they also are notably good at respawn. But like,
and they're not.
It'll be close, and if you have a good spread on Gorillas, I think you maybe take that instead. But like,
I don't know, man. This Gorillas team is good, and I think to your point, like this Faze team has not figured out hard points yet.
not entirely. I just don't think it's translating from scrims. I don't really know what their issue
Completely.
is. Now, on the back of that, I do like LAG moneyline versus Toronto
Well, why wouldn't you also like them against Faze then?
because I think Toronto's on more of an S&D struggle bus than Faze.
Yeah, but like,
which makes it more feasible for LAG to win that series.
tell me this.
I'm
Our
listening.
city's against his former team. You don't think he's going to have some level of unique insight into that team and kind of like have a revenge fuck you factor ready to go?
I mean, he might. Listen, I'm not counting it out. I'm not saying they're going to lose to Faze. Like, I'm not predicting them to lose to Faze. So
I don't know what the odds are going to be. They might be something really delicious. I think I'm just going to go and hammer the ladder with LAG. I'm going to do the probably like -1.5 in case things get real crazy.
oh, you're going all out here.
The money line and then the +1.5. I think you hit at least 2 of those.
It's definitely a close series, in my opinion. I think Faze is like not bad at S&D though. Like that's the problem for.
I think our city's
for
this
LAG.
week. This is actually going to make me think that Outtro will smoke LAG because they're not going to focus on it. Because RC is going to be sitting there being like, fuck Faze. I'm going to kill these motherfuckers. They got rid of me. I know every trick that they're going to try and pull. He's going to teach these young bloods how to fucking get their shit right. And I love this line, actually. I'm glad that we're talking through this. I love LAG against Faze. I don't think they'll spend any time thinking about Outtro. I think Outtro 3-0s them, and they don't even care because they'll have beaten Faze.
You're tunnel
am.
visioning right now, pretty aggressively. I mean, it's good to win both, though. I don't think they're gonna focus on one more than the other. I think there is a little bit of a revenge tour in there, but like, I don't know how much it affects it. I think the Ultra game is way more viable for LAG to win.
Why?
In my opinion, currently.
Ultra's better than Faze.
Yeah, but not at the game modes that they need to be better than them at. Like Ultra's, I don't know if Ultra's S&D is necessarily better than Faze's. Their control is pretty good, but like LAG can go toe to toe with them in Hardpoint.
Well, apparently everyone can go toe to toe with them in Hardpoint.
With the Ultra, I mean, OpTic can, that's for sure.
All right, the game that everyone's going to be queued up waiting for Sunday 6 p.m. Eastern. They're OpTic Faze.
I got OpTic -1.5 here. I have that as a love.
-1.5.
I mean, they're just smoke them in
Hardpoint.
Hardpoint. They're probably gonna smoke them in Search. Their Search looks really
definitely lose
good,
control. 100% lose.
and I think they'll body them in
They're gonna
control
lose
too.
control.
This might be a 3-0.
I hope you're right. I think it's going to be a over five maps, over 2.5, or sorry, over 4.5. Yeah,
Over 2. Yeah, I mean every series is over 2.
over 4.5. I love it. I think you're going to get OpTic beating them on hard points. I do think Faze's S&D is going to make it close, and I think that it'll come down to map 5.
I think OpTic has better S&D right now. I think Faze's is good. I think OpTic's is better.
Over 4.5. That's my pick.
All right, fair enough. Anything else? Any final takeaways?
It's hard when you don't have the odds in front of you.
It's hard to know odds. Yeah,
we're
it's really hard to
guessing.
find value here. We are guessing. Take it with a grain of salt. If you look at it, you're like, those are shot odds. Like, don't obviously go that direction. Some of these are probably pretty obvious. Like Texas -1.5 versus Legion. It's pretty obvious.
Obvious. Just join our Discord.
Yeah, join our Discord. We'll let you know when you have the odds. We'll probably be discussing it in there when we see them.
Robert will be throwing up different graphics,
yeah.
and I'll come in over the top and just absolutely
Great
destroy them
graphics.
and get it all right.
Well, I mean, did you really destroy them, or did you just slam dunk the graphics? Yeah, you did on Twitter publicly in the public forum. But I mean, that's what it's good for. And if you want to join that Discord, it's down in the description below, as well as a link to our Twitter, which is also at Best of 3 Network. If you are better at just typing it in on your browser or something like that, and that's a little bit easier for you. You don't like links. You're scared of them. So throw us a follow there. Hit the like and subscribe button if you did enjoy, and if this is your second, third time here, just hit the subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell as well. Join the community. Absolutely love the feedback. Leave a comment if you hate us. Leave a comment if you love us, and we will see you next week, unless Scump comes out of retirement or something like that in the middle of the week, and then we'll do an emergency pod. But peace out.
Toodaloo.